A very good afternoon and warm welcome to all of you to the webinar on marine insurance claims management challenges and way forward. As we are aware that insurance is an important protection for any business activity. Marine insurance is the oldest form of insurance that is an integral activity that leads to economic growth by providing an umbrella for fortuitous events. Any business that is engaged in trade, including import and export of goods, is exposed to named and unnamed perils of the sea. When it comes to claim servicing, the process is more complex than it seems. Today, we have a panel of eminent speakers who are experts and veteran in today's subjects. Let's all get ready for the thrilling session. Now, I welcome Ms. Shivani, CMO, JK Insurance Broker Limited, to give the welcome address. Over to you, Ms. Shivani.
Thank you so much, Neeta. Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon. On behalf of JK Insurance and Brokers Limited, I welcome Mr. Sabir Sen Sir, EVP, HDFC Argo, HDFC General Insurance Company Limited, and Mr. Rakesh Kumar from Protocol Insurance Service and Loss Assessors, and ex-DGM of New India Assurance Company for being with us and enlighten the audience with their in-depth knowledge on marine claims and management. Thank you so much, sir, for being here with us. I also welcome my co-panelists and audience for joining this session. So, taking up the topic today, this is a very interesting topic. Ships and ports are, arteries of the global economy, and around 85% of global trade is carried by sea, and billions of tons of cargo ships are being moved every year across oceans, seas, thereby having a massive impact on global economy. This combined with the ongoing global uncertainties, both politically and economically, changing the trade patterns and technological advancement among many others. For today's topic, we have an expert of the subject. I am sure that it is going to be a fruitful and awakening sessions for all of us. So I would request Neeta to take this forward and introduce, who is the panelist.
Yes. Thank you so much. Now I would request Rajiv Hajela sir for this session. He is Chief Advisor, Claims, Liability and Special Risks, JK Insurance Brokers Limited. Sir, over to you for theme address and setting the tone of the endeavor.
Thanks, Nita. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Ecstatic to be here. And thank you all for evincing your interest and being here on this interactive platform to discuss challenges that the insurance industry face, more so in the marine cargo insurance. Apparently looks easy subject, but when it comes to claims or it comes to underwriting, it's pretty tough. It's unlike the fire and engineering insurances that we have in India at this point in time. To begin with, we probably may not have sufficient time to discuss and cover all the topics and queries. However, the endeavor would be to ensure that maximum queries and the questions are answered by eminent panelists who are there with us today. I would begin sharing a small presentation which I have made and probably throw light on as we go about with in marine insurance. Marine claims. So any claim is a culmination of an insurance cover. So probably each of us who are into this, covering this risk, needs to know what kind of insurances do we have in place. We have the cargo insurance, storage covers, throughput insurance, consequential loss or loss of profit, trade disruption is primarily the political risk and political uncertainty cover, and of course the shipper's liability in the event of a dangerous cargo being carried by the shipper. Here, the point that we need to take care of, whenever in the local parlance we talk about the all risk cover. Everybody seems to be looking for a cover which is all pervasive, cover all kind of risk. But then that is not so. Everything comes for a price. Similarly, in marine insurance, we have the restricted covers, which is nothing but ICCC in the industry parlance, which means covered risk. And Covered risk means anything happening to the conveyance or the shipping vessel. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, the marine insurance owes its origin to the ocean shipments. So everything gets related to the ocean voyage. So if the ship capsizes, sinks, or anything happens to the shipment through an accident to the conveyor, it becomes a total loss. Invariably, it becomes a total loss. So alternatively, it is also known as free from particular average. So it's a named peril stuff. We come to, then there's an all risk cover. All risk does not mean everything under the sun. It has certain exclusions. One of which could be insufficiency of packaging, connivance of insured, and so on. But then most of the insured perils that one could think of are covered under ICCA. Then you have various clauses which supplement the basic covers. They depend upon the type of commodities that is being shipped, whether it's a bulk cargo or a break bulk cargo, or whether it is a perishable commodity. So there are clauses which get attached to the primary cargo clauses and make it a wider possible cover to ensure that the risk inherent in the commodity that is being shipped, all the probable events that could lead to a loss are held covered. And of course, one should be aware of the warranties and conditions that is placed by the insurers to contain the risk. When I say the contain the risk, it does not mean to restrict the coverage. It means that undue benefit of insurance should not be availed of by the insured at any point in time. And insured should act as if uninsured. That is one of the premise of insurance. Going back to the old slide, why do we want an insurance? When I take an insurance for a marine transit, I could expect what? My consignment could be partially damaged. My consignment could become a total loss. Or even when one consignment is not damaged, either ways, whether a partial loss or a total loss, it does become a claim. In this parlance, this is known as general average clause, which gets triggered when, to save a voyage, each of the shipper, each of the consignor has to share the loss to save the ultimate voyage. Now, coming to another aspect of marine insurance is the sale terms that as an insured you enter into and take the insurance accordingly. These are known as Incoterms. Incoterms were devised to ensure and to demarcate the responsibilities of buyer and seller in a marine insurance contract. We've heard of Ex-Works, CIF, FAS, FAR. All these terms have different connotation and have different scope of liability for seller and buyer. Predominant one being the CIF, which is cost, insurance, and freight. So one has to be aware of these Incoterms while entering into a contract, either as a buyer or a seller, and take insurance accordingly to cover the risk. Risk of marine transit. Now, I have enumerated certain inputs from Allianz General Advisory Services, and they have come up with certain kind of losses which are increasing the frequency and the quantum, both severity and the probability of losses. And this is a report issued in 2022, which says fire on board of vessels is the primary cause. inflation is leading to the higher value claims, damage consignment, supply chain disruptions. We all know what has happened during COVID and post-COVID because of the Ukrainian crisis. So these are adding to the losses in the marine insurance portfolio. Now, going by the causes, top causes which are leading to losses in marine, the biggest of them is a fire and explosion. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been observed that the transport of lithium-ion batteries is one of the major contributors for losses under fire and explosion. And then, of course, shipping incidents like sinking and collision, damaged goods because of handling losses, machinery breakdown. It's primarily related to hull, marine hull, and catastrophe, natural catastrophe leading to loss in the marine portfolio. Now, another aspect of this is the type of losses that is happening because on account of modes of transport. If we see the color legends clearly show us that the air transport has the least amount of losses, while sea has a maximum potential of losses. Why? Because as already said, most of the trade international trade happens through sea. So we see from 2013 onwards till 2020, the sea share of the losses is 50%, 45%. Averaging it is 35% over a period of over a last decade. Now, one interesting fact that has come to the notice that small value claims are rising over a period of time. This is a report of International Institute of Marine Underwriter. They've done this study from 2013 to 2020. So it shows the number of small claims, attritional claims is rising, and large claims are showing a decreasing trend, which leads us to another aspect of the challenges that are there in containing the marine losses. One of them is application of AI. We all heard of AI ML. We talk about AI ML day in and day out. But an application of AI ML into assessment of marine losses would invariably lead to enhanced efficiency in terms of lowering the turnaround time, a better claim adjustment, less disputes between the insured and the insurer, and of course, to the benefit of insurer, fraud detection. Because if it is a fraud, which is not a genuine claim, leads to undue losses to the insurer. But the challenges are there in this aspect also. Challenges are that there's a huge disconnect between the shipping and the insurance industry. That's a disconnect. That's a challenge, which I reckon my friend Mr. Sen would be delivering upon it, that how to mitigate these challenges, how we can go about making a marine insurance portfolio a viable one for the insurers or the public at large. Disputes are less, resolution is efficient. My apologies, it seems there's a load shedding in the area. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. So there is a load shedding, I guess. So this is where I come from, and I would like to deliberate upon what a client should take measures when there is a claim. Please inform your insurer ASAP. Keep all the documents ready, handy, so that the delays in the claim settlement is reduced, or rather the delay does not happen and the claim settlement is done on time. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, I rest and I request Mr. Sen, Shidesh Sen, who is my contemporary, to take up and advise and give us the perspective of insurers as to what are the challenges they face and how best HDFC ERGO is moving in the direction to contain the losses and ensure that the claim mitigation with the customer delight happens parallelly. Thank you so much for hearing me out. Over to Mr. Sibesh Sen for his views.
Thank you so much, sir. I would request Sibesh Sen, sir, to address the audience. But before it address, I would like to introduce him to our audience. Although he doesn't need the introduction, still, Mr. Sen is currently working at HDFC General Insurance Company Limited, Mumbai, as Executive Vice President, Head Marine, SME, Broking and Relations. He joined NICL in March 1988 and continued in various locations and roles. He joined Tata AIG General Insurance in 2001 and continued till January 2017. He headed marine insurance from 2004 to 2006, then business head Mumbai operations from 2006 to 2012. Then national head for agency and bank assurance. He headed CSR and started the Tata AIG Academy. He is a member of Cargo Committee of IUMI and Advisory Committee member of College of Insurance. What a vast experience, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thanks, Neeta. Thanks, Rajiv. I think Rajiv has done a great job by the introduction that he's given. And I like the last slide when he says how to make marine insurance viable. I shall not delve into that part of the topic for the moment. So I have too many slides and too little a time. I will try and do the breathless for you as Shankar Mahadevan did. I have too many things to talk about, but so bear with me. If I'm going too fast, Rajiv, you can interject, or anybody in the audience. The questions, I'm sure there'll be plenty at the end. So let me try and share the slides for you. Give me a moment. Is my screen visible? Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much. I thought it would have been a better opportunity for you to go and see Drishyam 2 today rather than sit down and watch this matinee show of marine claims. I'll try and entertain you as much as I can. But if I fail, box office fails often nowadays. So bear with me. I'll try and keep it as light as possible. Marine is the most fascinating line of business. And in my tenure of almost 34 years, this has been the most fascinating space where I've really experimented, I've worked, I've loved the subject. And it has too many things. I'm not saying Johnny Depp being one of the people who makes it even more livelier, but we are not into that sort of the world of the piracies are still there, but there is the war of the sea, there are raging oceans, we have casualties every day, and we live through them. So we are all, as marine insurers, trying to navigate difficult seas. What makes marine so special? I think somebody has already spoken. I think the history itself is so glorious. I won't delve into these, but the principles I will touch upon after some time. There's too much of uncertainty and fortuity about the whole thing that we do. We are the only idiots in this world who play for voluntary losses. War also, we are the only idiots again that we pay for. International events make a difference to our lives. And we have a huge amount of legal framework within which we work, whether it is the Marine Insurance Act, whether it is the Hague-Visby rules, whether it is the ICC clauses, as he said about the Incoterms, York-Antwerp rules. We also work within the international sanctions. Kabhi OFAC sanction aa jata hai, kabhi EU aa jata hai, kabhi Indian government ka to koi sanction hi nahi hota hai. And then there are these admitted and non-admitted countries. So marine is never boring if you really love it. Am I audible? Is my voice echoing? I am? You're mute. Rajiv, is the voice okay?
No, sir. You are audible perfectly.
Okay.
You're audible, Sibesh.
Yeah, thanks. The silence is sometimes killing when you're talking alone. So here you are. I think the most important part of marine is that the definition itself, sometimes while I know this is a session on claims, but I think it's the most important thing that it's an agreement to indemnify the assured in the manner and to the extent agreed against maritime losses, that is losses incidental to maritime adventure. This one definition actually defines what is marine insurance and what does it pay against. So while the word maritime adventure was when this 1906 में Marine Insurance Act बना था, but now it includes rail, road, air, everything, not just sea. But we still love to call it the marine insurance, even though it's the transit insurance nowadays. So I think every word in this that I've highlighted in red is extremely important. And when I go to the other fundamental principles, the beauty is that marine, despite being the oldest insurance form of insurance, each of the principles have a very different connotation to it. And each of them gets reflected in case of a claim. Somebody will say, how does utmost good faith different from as in fire? How many times do we as marine insurance ever inspect our goods? If Bata Shoe Company says that they are exporting shoes and in the end at destination somebody finds a pebble, I better believe him that he is sending. There's no misdeclaration or anything. So in marine, often this utmost good faith gets into the utmost good faith. Other than some ODC cargoes or second-hand goods, I don't think we ever look into what we just believe. Rajiv is sending shoes. Tomorrow, if there is a loss, I shall pay him as he has declared it, unless I come to know that Rajiv is playing around with the insurance part of it. Rajiv, you are the scapegoat today. Insurable interest is funny again. While in all other lines of insurance, it's very easy that Rajiv takes his ship or his house or his car. It's his at the time of insurance, at the time of claim. Marine insurance, if you know, is a freely assignable document, and it's basically like a bearer check. It moves from one person to the other. So whether you have an insurable interest at the time of taking the claim, at the time of insurance or not, but definitely you need to prove it at the time of loss. Even if you go to your clauses, I think insurable interest is embodied over there as well. So you see each and every point marine comes out very differently, and each of this has a impact on claims. Look at the indemnity. In fire and in other forms of insurances, you do a indemnification, which is very different, depreciation and so many other things. Here, what are you paying? You're paying as agreed, as the first definition said. So if you've agreed upon a price, you better pay that. We are the only people who pay for profits as well. When people say plus 10% is profit, no, the profit is already built into your invoice itself. So we pay for the profits as well. As long as somebody is not committing a fraud, I don't even reopen the issue of indemnity and I pay as agreed. So that's the beauty. It's not that we don't have underinsurance, we don't have depreciation in certain cases. Those are very, very far and few. But primarily, we work with valued policies and we do a agreed value settlement. Proximate cause, again, somebody may say, what does this have to do? Somebody will say, oh, hamara definition hota tha causa proxima non remota spectatur. We will not go into the Latin part of it, but I think important to note is, whereas in all the most of the policies, you need to actually point out where the losses happened and how it has happened. If you look at the marine insurance, 99% of all our policies are all risk policies. Loss or damage caused by, unless you can prove an exclusion. And it is not only just caused by, even in your B and C policies, if you look at it, it also has reasonably attributable to, which actually means that when the surveyor is saying there's a possibility there must have been a rainfall or there was a skillful pilferage. Nobody knows when it happened. Nobody knows who did it. Nobody knows where it happened. And yet we end up paying for those claims. It's not like that you have to prove आपको weather certificate लाके देना पड़ता है या कुछ पड़ता है. So proximate cause is extremely different as from any other lines of business. So we pay for just if somebody says this possibly may have happened, reasonably attributable to, in most of my claims, I pay those as well. Subrogation is there in all policies, so is contribution, but subrogation in our case is we are the only ones who actually go against the third parties. You might find some of your insurers deducting 25%, 15%. Every time there is a haggling, it has come down to 5%. Sometimes they don't want any subrogation to be deducted. But we are the only ones who actually know that you had entrusted your goods to your transporter to carry the goods safe and sound, and he's not done it. Since he's not done it, technically he's supposed to make good the loss, but you know he'll never pay you. So you as insurer pay and step into the shoes of the assured and follow it up. So we actually follow it up. Contribution, there's no difference. So other than contribution, where there are multiple policies of the same insured for the same risk, rest all the principles are different, and each of them has an impact on the claims. It's very important for you to actually understand how the policy is interpreted, because आजकल वैसे my friend after me, Rajiv, will speak about it. We as insurers insist that the surveyors write everything. Internationally, the marine surveyor and the adjusters are two different entities. A surveyor only surveys the loss and says 50 bags cut and torn, so much cargo shot. Adjuster is somebody who reads the policy, he understands those clauses, interprets, and then defines. हम आजकल surveyor को सब कुछ लिख देते हैं, उसको ये भी बोल देते हैं claim payable, not payable, सब कुछ करने को उसको ही बोल देते हैं. और अक्सर I'm not blaming the surveyor fraternity. We neither discuss, we never do some training programs for them. So the way you look at a marine policy, don't look at just one word somewhere, bad packaging. You have to look at the entirety. You have to look at what was proposed. So you don't read a policy in just one line or a one word, but you need to understand what is the essence. Clauses and endorsements shall prevail over those printed. Typewritten wala aajkal hota nahi hai, ye purane zamane ka hai. But the most important words are the last two lines. It says, words construed in plain, ordinary, popular meaning. So कभी कोई बोलता है कि ordinary course of transit का definition क्या है, तो ordinary meaning क्या है, बस उसी का मतलब है. ये मेरी definition नहीं है, राजीव की definition नहीं है, नीता की definition नहीं है. What is the ordinary meaning? And ambiguities, if there are any in the policy, if there are any ambiguities in the policies, they'll all go against the insurer because he has framed the policy. I'll not go into each of these, what happened, how it happened, but I think the rest of the 15 odd minutes, I'll try and share with you some case studies where I think the problem. So let me be upfront and honest. If you say that I'll give you the answers, I don't know. Because to me, each and every claim often becomes payable and each and every claim becomes non-payable. It all depends upon how somebody reads a policy, how somebody understands a policy, and what is the way you want to do it. So marine claims are not straitjacket claims. Almost every claim could be paid, almost every claim could be denied as well. So it's the way somebody has a perspective to it. So underwriting and claims are two parts of the same coin. So if heads is the policy and the promise, claims is the fulfillment that actually happens. But the first thing first, what do insurers do when they receive a notice of claim? I think they ask two basic questions. Is there a covered claim? And if there is a claim, how much are we supposed to pay? So these are the very normal, genuine questions anybody would ask. But how do you actually check? We have been taught in the old school, they say there are the 6P checks. Who's the insured? That is, insurable interest is the person that you need to check. I'm sure these are the checks that any insured, insurer, and the broker would see. Period of insurance or the void, sometimes we see, आजकल तो storage क्योंकि policy से हट गया है, somebody wants to see the storage, whether it's there or not. Is the risk the same as what you insured? Somebody say, don't define a commodity, it's not there in your policy and it is a loss, so you need to check that as well. I think place often is not too much of a constraint because place is basically, अगर आपने इंग्लैंड पॉलिसी लिया और क्लेम एक्सपोर्ट में हो गया तब तो शायद आपको दिक्कत हो सकती है. अदरवाइज आई डोंट थिंक टू मच ऑफ एन इशू. इज द पेरिल कवर्ड? एंड फाइनली इज द प्रीमियम? प्रीमियम आल्सो इंक्लूड्स डिक्लेरेशंस आपने दिए हैं, आपके डिक्लेरेशंस एडजस्ट हुए हैं, एंड एट द एंड ऑफ द डे एवरीथिंग, द होली बाइबल इज द पॉलिसी. That is the policy that any insurer, any surveyor, anybody would see when handling a claim. What are the foremost factors that somebody sees? The claim amount, the policy limits in the policy, PBL, PSL limits, basis of valuation kya hai, deductible, recovery. So these are very standard things. There is nothing different that we at HDFC would do or at Tata AG or at New India. It's the same everywhere. Finally, it's the settlement. He defined it in a very different manner. I'll define my ICC clauses very simple. Friday evening fashion is the chota compact pack for you. It's slightly bigger for you. It's the Patiala peg for you. This is an all risk, and this is slightly more than all risk. So marine insurance is funny. You need to make it slightly fun as well. But this is the way, at least I remember it better, even though a teetotaler, I remember this well. देखिए, ऑल रिस्क पॉलिसी में सबसे अच्छा बहुत आसान है. एज एन इंश्योर्ड यू नीड टू शो दैट द लॉसेस अकर ड्यूरिंग द पॉलिसी पीरियड टू व्हिच नो एक्सक्लूजन अप्लाइज. मतलब आपको बताना है, भाई मैंने सामान भेजा था, 25 बोरी सामान थे, भीग के आए हैं, कहाँ पे हुआ, कैसे हुआ, उतना सब मुझे नहीं पता. मैंने इधर से सोनीपत से मेरा सामान बंबई आ रहा था, पता नहीं मेरे पास वहां पे ड्राई था, यहाँ पे वेट है, मुझे क्लेम दे दीजिए. As long as there is no exclusion, whether it is to do with the packaging or malicious damage or any other thing. But if you have a B cover or a C cover, definitely you will have to say which of the named perils operated, and the burden of proof will be on you. So all risk for an insurer, the policy that we most commonly use, it's a very difficult policy where repudiating a claim is extremely, extremely difficult. Not read through it, but willful misconduct. These are standard exclusion in an ICC. Your inland policies also don't differ too much, other than for the unseaworthiness, which is a later addition. But I think important things are inherent wise, insufficiency, packing, ordinary leakage, wear and tear, insolvency, nuclear perils. These are the standard exclusions. Apart from it, you have the war, SRCC, and your unseaworthiness exclusion clause. So it's very essential that in case of any claim, an insurer, in 99%, because 99% of your policies are all risk, will find some excuse if he has to deny you, and he has to then prove that the cargo was insufficiently packed or there was an ordinary leakage, and this is not allowable under the policy. Quickly, a few examples. So you can see this, a bit of a cargo which was jutting out on this flat track. If you look at this, there was a machinery which was on a flat track. It was coming from Hyderabad to Navasheva port. Cover was ITCB. Portion of the machinery extended to the level of the cabin. It hit the toll gate, resulting in damages. The carrying vehicle is not damaged. Now, I don't know, my good friend Rajiv may want to answer it. I will not dare answer this question, whether you will pay it under a B cover or not, because there is no collision of the carrying vehicle. You can define a carrying vehicle, which means including the cargo, or you could define it without it. Majority would say that this is not covered. I leave the judgment to the insurer and Rajiv whether to pay or not to pay. But I'm just throwing out, there's too many minefields in a marine policy. It's never a straitjacket answer that I can give to you. If you're waiting that I will give you all the
I will try to pay for it, Suresh.
As a broker, you will.
I will. I'll justify my existence.
Okay, quickly, look at this vessel caught fire because there was some, I actually use my hand too much, so my earphones come off very often. So somebody had extra hazardous cargo on board, and it led to the container catching fire on its own and leading to a GA-like situation. Now, if you look at this case study, and now Rajiv will again say pay, open policy exports, the goods are going, chemicals, it only says chemicals, non-hazardous chemicals, very clearly defined, non-hazardous. The shipment is from New Delhi to Madrid, Spain. The certificate shows the chemical name. There was a fire on board. Papers show that the cargo was hazardous. So you have a huge problem. The policies very clearly said non-hazardous, yet the cargo, whether you will deny the claim on grounds of misrepresentation or the cargo is not covered, is a tough one. But on the other hand, contrary, if I were the insured, who's the claimant in this policy? It is the consignee sitting in Spain. What does he have? He doesn't have your open policy. He has your certificate of insurance. The certificate of insurance is correctly issued as far as the name of the commodity is concerned. You think you'll be able to deny him claim? He'll take you to a court of law. So again, I'm just throwing out the difficulties an insurer may face. And these are the cases where it's very difficult. The interpretation is very, very difficult. Sometimes insurers take a view that maybe a legal path would be very expensive and I may lose the case, and he goes in for a arbitration. I don't know how Rajiv would have settled this claim, but it would have been a tough one. Settle again? I would have settled and sued the consignor from here. That is, should be okay.
Subrogation you'll be using subrogation.
So look at the Incoterms over here. Another on insurable interest. There's a yarn in containers. The voyage was from Ludhiana to Dhaka. For people who know about Bangladesh is an admitted country, people are not supposed to take people over there to take any insurance outside Bangladesh. So they have a regulated market. हमारे रेट 1.5 पैसे के, उनके रेट 30-35 पैसे के रेट होते हैं उनके कंट्री में. So this shipment was going. So the terms of sale were FOB. And yet there was a seller's interest to it as well. There was an LC as well. The cargo got loaded, the vessel tilted, all the containers fell into the water and became a total loss. The buyer refused to honor the LC because the LC was because the bill of lading was not stamped on board. Now here is a question whether the terms of sale should have been FCA or FOB. FOB is all right for bulk cargoes, but FCA and other terms are things that customers should use, because you have to remember what happens in a container is that you take the container and you take it to the port side or the CFS container freight station and you hand it over to the shipping company. You have very little control over the container and the cargo. Once you've handed it over to them, the risk has actually moved. So
Shivesh, was the GA declared in this case?
No, there was no. सारा ही total loss ही हो गया. उसमें तो कुछ बचा ही नहीं. सारा का सारा कंटेनर और ये वेसल में कुछ दम था ही नहीं, वैसे ही मतलब सारा खर्चा कार्गो इंश्योरर पे ही आता. So I'm just saying your terms of sale become very, very important. What you take, what is more appropriate. I would very strongly recommend for people moving goods in containers to take it in FCA. Similar is the case when the cargo comes. People say port to port. Saman utra, mera risk over. But can I take delivery of that container at the ship side? No. I have to wait till it reaches the CFS. So somewhere I think understanding the terms of sale, as Rajiv was trying to show, I think those are very extremely important. People forget, but I think it's very, very important to understand trade, commerce before you undertake marine insurance. Take, for instance, this was not our claim, but I am still showing coffee beans in unventilated containers. Coffee beans go in unventilated containers. It's not economical viable to send them in ventilated or air conditioned. And it was going from Colombia to Germany. The terms of sale were ICCA. Upon delivery, it was found that 18 of the 20 containers wet damage, condensation ho gaya. Is this a case of inherent vice, bad packing? So if you look at this, there are very fine points. If you look at the containers, it says LCL, FCL. LCL would mean the containers were not packed by the consignors themselves, and they were packed at the port. So which means you cannot hold the consignee accountable. The insurance company would end up paying for this claim. But good part is, in a court of law, it also made a recovery possible, and they said the shipping company should have taken adequate protection vis-a-vis adding craft paper, silica gels, and other things to protect it. The consignee's claim was settled by the insurers, despite the fact this is a condensation claim, which is another area where constantly you find claims, the disputes happening even today. Here's a case of pharmaceutical, is another difficult case where shipments of injectables, they went from Bangalore to Brazil. The container fell off at the port. If you can see a bulge at the bottom, and these were injectables, there was no way somebody could actually open up and check each and every vial. The consignee said, these cannot be used. These are meant for human consumption. There are micro damages. We need a total loss. Even though it was very apparent, only a handful of boxes inside the containers showed signs of damages. The consignee insisted that it be a total loss. And these things happen in pharmaceutical very, very easily. Even though 1 or 2 bags are damaged, the consignee often claims for all of it. And these can be very, very difficult for us to, these are always disputed, whether to pay, whether not to pay, how much to pay. But in this case, it was termed as CTL, and these were from an MNC. We ended up paying for the claim almost, but we also recovered more than 50% from the ocean carrier in this case. So I'm just throwing up cases which are slightly different and where the disputes happen. TL, CTL में इसमें बहुत हमेशा ये इन सब commodities में होता है. Here's another shipment of an import into of a machinery. If you on opening, it was found that there were rust marks on that machine. So if you see the first top right, that's how the cargo was packed. It is coming from Germany, one of the best packagings possible. Second वाला picture अगर आप देखेंगे उसमें वहाँ पे rust marks आपको ऊपर दिख रहे हैं. So these are precision machines, and the consignee said it's a total loss. But on examination, let's say protocol surveys were there, they actually found there was a complete vacuum sealing which was there. But unfortunately, when the consignor packed it, they actually put some nails which penetrated those vacuum seal, and air entered and contained, and the cargo was affected due to condensation. So here is a case where we could prove insufficiency of packaging, and the claim got denied. A large claim got denied as well. So packaging, make sure the packaging is of the best quality or the worst possible leg. What does the packaging exclusion say? It says, firstly, the loss or damage due to insufficiency of packing is most important. The second is unsuitability of packing. Third is preparation of the cargo. Fourth is stowage into the container. And then defense of insufficient can be taken only if the assured or his employees. And earlier, pehle isme servants, independent contractors tha, 2009 clause removed that, and now only up to employees. Not even if you've hired some external independent contractors for packing, your claim may still be paid because you yourself have not done anything wrong. So it's a very, if you see the clauses, they're all in favor of the customer. So we end up all the claims. Second last claim, there's a bulk drugs which goes an FCL, it goes to Rotterdam. Over there, they find that on opening, there's a smell, odor. Now, the cargo is shrink wrap, cartons, palletized, containers were completely clean, but somehow they found odor. Now, हम लोग कई बार ना exclusion clause लिख लेते हैं या warranty, as Rajiv said, some condition of warranty. Here was a case where we said contamination, excluding contamination, unless caused due to ITC B perils, ITC B or ICC B. What should be the right way to write? Whether you say external fortuitous means, whether you write ICC B, ITC B. I think these are areas of concern to the brokers, to the clients, and also to the insurers. There's no one definition which really will meet everybody's requirements. So there's always, these are the areas where disputes happen, and nobody's ever happy saying no to a claim or anything. But the fact does remain that inside a carton, which is completely vacuum sealed and shrink wrap, there is no way a smell can actually enter unless there is a bad packaging also. But we did not take that plea. This is a more of a contamination exclusion. Last example that I thought I'll give to you is food drains, northern part of the country, Soniput to Mumbai. We often put that cargo should be transported with a tarpaulin warranty. Now just look at the tarpaulin that was there, it reached the destination. Now, the problem over here is while the consigner or consignee में से ये ऐसा जब हमारे यहाँ से निकला था इतना खराब नहीं था, हो सकता है इतनी बारिश हुई इसलिए इतना फट गया, बहुत मुश्किल है समझना. But I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it to you all the situations where disputes happen and insurers and insureds look at different angles. There's one more very, very important thing. As Rajiv said, time is of essence. Delay of any sort is not permissible in a policy, whether it's in the prosecution of the voyage, whether it is informing the insurers. So reasonable dispatch clause is a very, very vast and very large clause. Delay in requesting for survey, delay in claiming against. So all these delay factors can actually lead to your claims getting prejudiced as well. The last page, thankfully, very important that you need to understand the policies and conditions. Often somebody who's half-baked, half-read is sitting there and he has a very limited knowledge and his interpretation is very different. So I think knowledge, I can't teach anybody, but empathy with the constraints of the assured. So if you ask me very honestly, if you believe your customers, मेरा एक बॉस था वो क्लेम आते ही वो बोलता था ये चोर है. आप किस तरह से एक आदमी को देखते हो, हमने भी इतने सारे इंश्योरेंस किया. Majority of people don't want claims. Majority of the clients are honest, genuine people. There is a fish or two which is dirty, which is bad, which spoils the water. But if you are going to brand everybody in the same light just because he's claimed, then you have a problem. So I think there's a empathy factor which should be there with the insurers, with everybody. time is of essence. I just spoke about to ensure that there is no delay. We just believe in documentation. We just go by documents. आपका invoice इतना है तो मैं उतना pay करता हूँ. आपका pre-shipment documents ठीक है तो मैं आपका claim pay करता हूँ. Documents are the most important things, because for us to be present everywhere is simply not possible. Finally, we always encourage people to do loss control minimization, which also includes not only minimizing the loss or averting a loss, but also in case of a post-loss, following it up with the carriers and other third parties. And if you know that we pay this segment any loss or damage, loss minimization expense that you incur over and above your claim. So theoretically, I actually can end up paying 200% in a claim, a cargo claim of 100% and a loss minimization as well. It's quite possible. Theoretically, again, I'm saying I could be, I'm exaggerating, but the fact does remain, I pay this over and above, and there is no limit to this loss minimization expense. As long as it is done reasonably, fairly, I shall pay. And finally, as I said, it's all about the attitude of the person sitting behind the desk. If he has a positive attitude, the claims will be looked at differently. If he looks at very negatively, he looks at it in a very different fashion. He will deny you all liabilities. And there are fraudulent claims as well. There are clients who do. You have to be very, very cautious in your approach sometimes, because documents can be funny. People can, आजकल सब कुछ ही online होता है. कोई भी कुछ document fabricate करता है, चाहे BR हो, चाहे कुछ हो. So you need to be very careful on those fraudulent claims as well. I think I've tried to cover as much as I could. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for content and crisp presentation. Definitely, I would like to tell all the speakers that we have 213 participants. But definitely, it's going to be very interactive session, question and answer sessions. So thank you so much, sir, and would request your endeavor and answers to that queries too.
Shivesh will have them Excel queries.
No.
Now I would request Rakesh Kumar, sir. He's a consultant, protocol insurance surveyors and loss assessors private limited, an ex-DGM New India Assurance, to address the audience. Before his address, I would like to introduce him. He is a CA by profession and fellow member of the Insurance Institute of India. He joined New India Assurance Company in 1987. During his 35 years of experience, he headed various departments in different capacities like accounts, marketing, underwriting, claims, etc. He also worked as a chief manager in the cargo technical department of New India. After his superannuation as a DGM in June 2022, he has joined the Protocol Insurance Surveyor and Loss Assessor Private Limited. Thank you so much, sir. Over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Nita, and good afternoon, everybody. My earlier, speakers have already set the base for today's discussion, and they have given a lot of details about the marine insurance, the coverages, the exclusions, the challenges, and various other features, the Incoterms they have already set. So my job has become more easy now. After my during my discussion. So I will try to cover basically the claim aspect only from the surveyor's perspective, because at the end of the day, the objective of taking any insurance policy is to get the insurance claim fast and fair, settlement when it comes to any loss or damage to the consignment in transit. So if we are not able to get the claim in time, because of certain thing which the insured was supposed to do, or for any other reasons, because of the lack of knowledge, or for some avoidable steps which he was supposed to take, then in that case the very purpose of the insurance gets defeated. So I will try to I have said that that there are 4 objectives of today the claims management, that the claims should be settled in fast, the claim settlement should be for fair amount, and minimum dispute should arise in the entire process of settlement of the claim, or rather there should not be any dispute, and if there is any, then it should be resolved with the discussion with the underwriter and with the surveyor. And the most important thing is that the insured should know what are his duties or obligations under the policy terms and conditions. Mr. Sives has already explained, certain duties of the insured which he needs to, perform during the course, during the currency of the policy, or even after happening of the loss. Just wait. क्या हुआ? ये ना कॉमन Nita, are you showing presentation?
No, sir.
Okay, then we are showing.
Sir, we
Yes,
have
sir.
enough time. Don't worry. Just a minute.
So I have shared my screen, sir.
Okay.
We already shared. It doesn't have to share only. You cannot just start sharing.
Shall I stop, sir?
Okay, you leave it now. So now, what are the first? I will say what are the generally reasons for delay in the settlement of the claims which insured face. The number one is the claim intimation, which is why the insured is not complete. Is not giving a complete information. Like the name of the contact person is not given, or the contact person's phone number is not given. In that case,
स्क्रीन शेयर करना उनको क्लोज कर दे फिर हम अपनी सेव करते हैं.
Can we share our screen, Nita? Actually, I think there is some issue. If you can close it, we can share our screen in that case.
Sir, you can share it now, sir.
हाँ, अभी करो, आप share करो.
Visible, sir.
Next. Let it come in one. So basically, first of all, the insured should give proper claim intimation. Number one, it should be given in time. It should give the complete particulars of where the cargo is lying, damaged cargo is lying. Who will be the contact person to whom surveyor should contact, and the extent of rough idea of the extent of damage and the nature of damage. So that it becomes easy for underwriter to depute a suitable surveyor for the same. Number two, unavailability of a basic document during survey. Generally, we see that sometimes no document is shown to the surveyors when he go for the survey. So at least some documents like invoice or the copy of GR, bill of lading, bill of entry, the packing list. These are the minimum documents which should be available at the time of a survey, that helps the surveyor to do preliminary survey, prepare the preliminary survey report. And the delay in segregation and identification of lost or damaged cargo. This is very important because segregation is very important, as Mr. Sives said, that loss minimization is very important aspect of the claims management. So any delay in the claim in the segregation may further aggravate the losses. And unless you do segregation, the extent of that losses or damages cannot be ascertained by the surveyor. So it is the insured should basically make all necessary arrangement for the segregation. Delay in disposal of the salvage, because depending upon the extent of the damages and the nature of the cargo, so sometimes salvage may fetch a good amount of the value, which will reduce the loss. And if there is a delay, the salvage realization value gets reduced considerably, and for which, if it is due to the fault or visible fault of the insured, in that case the claim gets prejudiced, and there may be some reduction from the claim amount, and so which could be avoided by the insured. Delay in submission of the claim documents. See, basically, the claim list of the claim document is provided by the surveyor immediately after the survey is first visit is done. Then it is the duty of the insured that they should arrange all these documents as soon as possible and send to the surveyor so that he completes his job as early as possible and submit his report. And but we have seen in some cases even the basic document which are available with the with this insured, they do not supply this document to the surveyor in time, and which make the settlement delay. The delay in responding to the loss assessors insurers queries, whenever any query is raised by the surveyor, if the insured is taking long time in responding to those queries, or sometime after submission of the report, underwriter may raise certain queries to the surveyor, or complying post-claim approval formalities. Because in marine cargo insurance, after the approval of the claim, some formalities are required, like letter of subrogation and indemnity to be provided. If all those documents get delayed after the intimation from the insurance company that the claim has been approved, then actual payment of the claim will get delayed, because underwriter will disperse the claim only after getting all these documents. So this is if all these taken, all these things are taken care of by the insured, I think if a lot of delays in settlement of the claim can be avoided, and settlement can be very fast. Then fair settlement. See, in insurance claims, generally insured feels that the settlement has not been very fair. Some deductions have been made unnecessarily. Despite it is a all risk insurance policy, still I am not getting a proper settlement, or my claim is getting rejected, or some deductions for this reason or that reasons being made by the surveyor or the underwriter. So we have to understand that all those or most of the deductions could be avoided by the insured if he has taken certain steps, or he has educated himself while taking insurance. He has taken care of, and he has gone through the policy terms, conditions, warranties, exclusions very carefully, and the basic rule is act as uninsured. Act as uninsured means that it is the duty of the insured to take all those essential and necessary and reasonable steps whenever any loss happens, which any person of ordinary prudence would have taken had there been no insurance in place. So if this is the basic this is a basic thumb rule, and if all those precautions have been taken, and if he can show to the surveyor or the underwriter that he has taken whatever was within his reach as a prudent in the given circumstances, then I don't think that any surveyor or the underwriter is going to penalize him if he is able to establish that. So this is one thing. Then he has to act with reasonable dispatch, because as Mr. Seves also said that at all the time, as per the policy terms and conditions, also certain duties are put in on the insured, where he has to act very quickly and very fast, and there should be no delay on his part. Policy coverage, exclusion, warranty terms and exclusion, as I told earlier, that the insured must read the policy terms and conditions very carefully. Though the brokers are doing a lot of job for him, they are trying to get best of the policies depending upon the requirement of the insured. But again, it is the duty of the insured person who is basically dealing with the insurance department or the insurance claims, that he should go through the policy terms and conditions, because in policies certain warranties are given, as Mr. Rajiv told in his address, that some warranties are put in by the underwriter to contain the risk. Contain the risk means basically the premium rates are charged by the underwriter by assessing the risk at the time of underwriting, and to maintain the same risk throughout the policy or at the time of claim, basically they put certain warranties. So those warranties must be complied with by the insured, and unless the insured goes through the policy terms and conditions, I give you the example, like a very simple warranty of a closed wagon or a closed vehicle or the vehicle covered with the tarpaulin. If that is not the warranty is not complied, and at the time of loss, if the surveyor observes that the loss has taken place due to the rain, or had the tarpaulin been there, or the vehicle had been would have been covered, then this was loss, that loss would not have taken place, then certainly it is going to prejudice the loss. So accordingly, like ODC over dimension cargo warranty is there, where some route survey or some loading unloading supervision, all those warranties might have been put in. So if it is a ODC cargo, then it is the duty of the insured that they must comply that warranty which is put into this, otherwise it will prejudice the loss, prejudice the claim. Then the incoterms basically whatever is there, whatever is the basis of contract between the seller and buyer, which is given in the invoice, that decides where the obligations of the insured and the of the buyer and the seller, and also at which stage the risk gets transferred. So that basically decides who is eligible to get claim under this policy, or who has actually suffered the loss. So in the claim, the incoterms is very important for deciding the admissibility of a claim under the policy. So the insured must know what are the incoterms, and take policy and accordingly, and lodge the claim accordingly. And then protect the recovery rights. This is very important, as Mr. Sivesh told that in marine cargo, there is a bailor-bailey relationship, and so for any loss or damage caused due to the negligence or while the cargo was in the possession or control of the third party, they are responsible, and they are required to compensate the insured for the loss or damage to the cargo as per the contract of freightment, or any other contract, or under the various statutes. And but for that, basically there is a procedure for lodging monetary claim within the time given. So it is the duty of the insured to lodge the monetary claim. It doesn't mean that if somebody else, the transporter, is responsible to compensate to the insured, then insurance company will not pay the claim. No, we will pay the claim. We can say the underwriter will pay the claim, and but the right of your recovery against the transporter will get subrogated to the underwriter, who will pursue recovery later on. But they can pursue recovery only if you have protected the recovery right as per the statute. If the as per the law you were supposed to give lodge monetary claim on the transporter by a particular date, if you have not done that, or if there is no documentary evidence to say to prove that the monetary claim was lost, if those documents are not provided to the underwriter, they cannot pursue their rights of recovery, and their claim will get prejudiced. Accordingly, you should obtain the damage certificate, shortage certificate from the transporter, from the airlines, from the shipping line, or if it is at the port, loss has taken place at the port, from the port authorities, or whoever, any godown keeper, or whoever was the responsible, or for the loss, you have to obtain shortage or damage certificate from them. And then fast disposal of salvage is very important, as I told earlier also, that disposal of salvage basically depending upon the nature of cargo and the extent of damage is very important. And sometimes if the value of the salvage is very high, then underwriter would like to go for auction of the salvage for getting a fair and transparent value of the salvage. So that may take time. So the insured must take all those steps which facilitate the faster disposal of the salvage, and substantiate the loss or damage falling in the policy scope is very important, because simply lodging the claim is not sufficient. It is the duty of the insured to give evidences or the required documents for showing that his claim falls within the scope of the policy. Then now next is avoidance or resolution of disputes. Basically, I have given certain examples where which type of disputes may arise, like issuing clean receipt for short or damaged delivered cargo. We come across in some cases when the packages were delivered in apparently tempered conditions, or still the insured has given clean receipt to the carrier. They have not closed the GR, and they have given a clean receipt. So basically, in that case, there are two things happens. Number one, it is difficult to establish that the loss has taken place while the goods were in transit, and number two, the recovery rights are prejudiced. The insured should basically train or educate the persons who are responsible for receiving the cargo, that whenever they find that any cargo is delivered in short or in apparently tempered conditions, or damaged packing is tempered, then or damaged, then they must qualify the give the qualified receipt and take further steps. Then opening of package without keeping evidence of the damaged packing. Sometimes the package is in damaged condition, and before the surveyor arrives, the package is opened and the cargo is taken out, and after that the claim intimation is given, or in that case basically, and packing is not available at the time of survey. Then it is very difficult for the surveyor to establish that the loss has taken place while in the transit, or whether it was during the storage at the insured site. So for that, basically damaged packing photograph may be taken, or some video may be taken, or the damaged packing should be kept intact and should be produced to the surveyor for his inspection. And then destroying the damaged cargo without keeping evidence. Sometimes cargo may be of that nature that which requires to be destroyed immediately to avoid pollution, or for as per the law. In that case, if cargo is being destroyed before the survey, then at least proper video and proper evidence of the condition of the cargo when it arrives, and its destruction must be kept, or some witness evidence should be there. Then breach of a policy warranty, we have discussed. Packing sufficiency, Mr. Seaways has given talked in detail. I will not repeat. Then sometimes overloading, we come across a lot of disputes, a lot of problems in case of overloading. The insured must give specific instructions to the persons who are responsible for arranging the vehicle, or responsible for loading operations, that they should not allow any overloading, and the vehicle of adequate capacity depending upon the weight of the cargo should be arranged so that the claim doesn't get prejudiced. Unexplained cause and place of damage. Basically, particularly in case of a restricted cover, ITC-B or ICC-B or C, where the named peril policy are there, the reason, the causes must be explained. And even in case of all risk A, sometimes the loss has happened due to what reason, whether it is falling under the exclusion or not. Reason for the loss has to be ascertained, so that we can check whether it is falling under exclusion or not. Then aggravation of damages post incident. So if after the incident, insured has not taken proper care of the cargo, it is left unattended, it is left in open, so that further aggravation, either by the theft, or due to weather conditions, or due to other reasons, loss has been aggravated, then certainly underwriter would like to penalize the insured for that, which could have been avoided very easily had the insured acted prudently at the time after the incident. Then not providing essential claim documents is very important, because without claim documents you cannot settle any claim. And the claim documents to ascertain the policy liability and extent of damage are very well defined, and those should be provided as soon as possible to the surveyor. Then short realization of the salvage value due to insured fault. Then again a dispute, so which could be avoided. The inadequacy of available sum insured. This is very important because in the case of regular importer, exporter, or the corporates, frequent transits are taking place. So nowadays declaration policies are there, either the open policy or the annual turnover policies are there, sales turnover policies are there. So the primary duty of it is the primary duty of the insured to ensure that all the time throughout the policy the sum insured is available, balance available adequately to so that there is no breach of the section 64B of the Insurance Act. So they should keep the sum insured updated, enhanced time to time, and so that when the consignment commencement happens, the sum insured is available. So they should keep a track of the same, and rather they should keep a margin, because all these policies have a refund clause, refund, so that in case there is some balance that remains on the expiry of the policy which is unutilized, there is no loss of premium to the insured. They will get the refund on that amount. So they can keep a more than required balance, so that there is no inadequacy of the balance sum insured. Then misrepresentation or concealment of the facts. Another thing I would like to say in inadequacy of the available sum insured, like declaration, I would like to say that declaration should be in accordance with the policy terms and conditions. Like anything, if whatever is the basis of valuation fixed in the policy and as per the policy terms and conditions, on the same basis the declaration should be made and the balance should be reduced. Sometimes in the policy it is CIF plus 10%, and insured declares only the turnover amount. They do not add that 10% to that while declaring, and by that, and there is a marginal case, and there is a, when the underwriter checks the availability of balance, they add 10% and they find that the sum insured is not adequate. So declaration should be strictly as per the basis of valuation as per the policy terms and conditions. Then misrepresentations or the concealment of the fact. Lot of claims sometimes gets prejudiced because some misrepresentation was done at the time of taking insurance or during the course of pursuing claim. So those should be avoided, and so that no dispute regarding this happens. And then pre-dispatch survey in tail and risk not done. This is very important because nowadays all these open policy or sales turnover policies do cover new full transit as well as tail and risk also, where up to CIF Indian code the imported consignments are insured under the seller's policy, and the Indian buyer importer is responsible for insuring the Indian internal transit. So in that case, because the Indian insurance company is picking up the risk, in between, so they would like to ensure that there is no pre-existing loss or damages while the risk attaches. So if it is a basic cover, it is fine. But if it is a all risk cover, if they want an all risk cover under this, then the condition of the cargo needs to be inspected by some nominated surveyor. So if it is not done, then the risk the coverage gets reduced to basic cover. Extent and nature of damages not supported by expert opinion. Sometimes there is a damage to the machinery, or what is the exact damage, whether it is a total loss or if it is a repairable, then what are the parts to be replaced. For that we need the OEM's report or technical person's report. If it is not provided, then there is a problem. It gets the things delayed. Or if there is some damage, some nature of cargo where the insured says that it is not usable at all, then again some evidence or expert opinion or some lab test report or something is required in support to that. This is a total loss, and to what extent it is lost. Then GST claim, if insured is claiming for GST, and if they have already availed if they are entitled for input credit or they have availed the input credit, then they have to reverse that input credit and give proof of the same to the surveyor. Otherwise, surveyor would not allow the claim for GST. So because the double benefit cannot be given, and then unavailability of the authorized person at that site to sign this JI. Generally, joint inspection report, the joint inspection is done at the time of the first visit by the surveyor, and it is always preferable that some responsible person of the from the insured side should be available who signs this joint inspection report along with the surveyor, so that there is no dispute later on about the nature and extent of damages at the time of survey. So sometimes if it is only surveyor has given his observations and insured says later on that more the damages were more or something like that, then those disputes can be avoided. Ensure.
Sir, thank you so much. I just request you to wrap up quickly.
I think I will take hardly 2-3 minutes more.
Right.
Now the last thing is what are the insured's obligation under the policy? So we have discussed the sufficiency of sum insured balance. Timely declarations are important. Then compliance of policy warranties, other terms we have discussed. Protection of recovery rights we have discussed. Prior information of the material changes in the risk is very important. Sometimes during the course before the completion of the transit, sometimes voice may be required to be changed, or sometimes within 7 days or 60 days, whatever time is permitted after the discharge of the cargo, the consignment may not reach to the destination, then that period needs to be enhanced in advance. So all those things must be done prior intimation to the insurance company, and if any additional premium to be paid, it should be paid, and in time claim intimation. So this is what I wanted to convey in this brief time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your detailed presentation. Now floor is open, and I apologize to stop you in between, but definitely audience will ask question and it will be interactive session. So I request Rajiv Hajela sir to take the session and moderate the session and present the questions of the audience in front of the speakers.
Thank you so much, Neeta. I've been getting the question on chat. This first question is directed towards Mr. Sen. It's out and out regarding the perishable commodity. 4 or 5 reasons to it. When Delhi government restricts the entry of diesel vehicle carrying the perishable commodity, what is the stance? And it gets destroyed. 2, same wavelength. When the rail movement is affected on account of accident en route, and the rail movement is affected, and the container carrying a perishable commodity gets parked at a wrong place, not reaching intended place. And last is delay of reaching perishable commodity on account of the natural calamities, closing roads.
So in short, very, very theoretical answer is that we don't cover delay of any sort. So all my policies have an exclusion on delay, unless howsoever cause. Delay is a very absolute exclusion. Nowadays, the only thing that we sometimes see insurers do is to allow this delay only in case of a GA situation. Some of the insurers do allow. Most insurers don't even allow for that. As far as the question that has been posed with regard to the delay, and especially with regard to temperature sensitive cargoes, I think it first जो आपका सवाल था कि दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट क्या बैन करता है नहीं करता है, everybody should know the rules of the law. Everybody knows well in advance कहाँ क्या जा सकता है. आप वहाँ पे जबरदस्ती तो घुसा नहीं पाओगे. So you should know, the logistics operator of yours should know, he should be informed well in advance. And as far as ideal way to deal with some of these issues is that you sit down with your broker and your insurers, find out what is the normal shelf life that it can withstand, and fix your time limits. कई बार हम लोग लिख देते हैं मतलब 24 hours machinery breakdown कई बार. So insurers can be flexible, but they'll find it difficult to give delay howsoever cost. So these are not easy. If you park a a truck. For instance, somebody parks a truck at the wrong side. What can I do? It's nothing that I can help it. But if tomorrow, it's all about how you look at a claim. किसके लिए claim हुआ? Is it completely an error on the part of the transporter? I think the insurer would end up paying for. I think those are the claims we anyway pay. So it's a tough one, but I think if you can prove that despite all your SOPs given to the logistics operator, having put in everything in your side, and despite the fact that something has gone wrong vis-a-vis the transporter making a grave error, somebody saying that I have run out of fuel. It all depends upon the policy issue, time frame given, because policies are framed very differently by most insurers. But if it's a grave error on the part of the transporter, most insurers will end up paying for such claims.
Okay. Okay.
Don't quote me for my HDFC claims, because the views expressed over here are very, very personal.
Basically, it is an academic discussion.
And one of the question which is addressed to JK Insurance Brokers, and I would request Ms. Meenakshi to answer this particular question. If Shivesh is going to underwrite and Mr. Rakesh Kumar is going to settle the claims, what is the role of JKIBL then? Ms. Meenakshi, I would request you to answer this.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we have seen from our experience that every single claim involves putting the pieces of a jigsaw puzzle together. As no two pieces are same, so no two claims we have, they are identical. You can only draw references from the past experience. So as we all are aware that maritime is a complex industry and marine insurance is the backbone of any economy. So understanding the client risk while underwriting the policy and clearing the roadblocks at various stages of a claim, whether it is an inland claim or a sea shipment, is the integral to the role of insurance brokers.
Thanks, Meenakshi. I guess the participant who has raised this query is satisfied, and with your reply, they come to JKIBL for managing their risk. Thank you so much, Meenakshi. Another question this time is directed again towards Shivesh, which is for you. What do you mean by a tarpaulin warranty? And if you have placed it in a policy, and if a customer has done the pre-dispatch survey and there's a wet damage, so would the tarpaulin warranty trigger, or since the PDS is done and PDS is clear, you would let go this warranty?
So most of the policies either say that the pricing and the risk is subject to the cargo being moved in closed wagons, containers, boxes, or in tarpaulin covered and tarpaulin covered. Sometimes people elaborate to the extent to say that tarpaulin, waterproof tarpaulin or double tarpaulin, sometimes they say. So if an insurer has put on a warranty, it is assumed that it will override anything that is contained in the policy. And at the time of loss, if the surveyor finds that during a rainy season or during a normal course of the day as well, you did not put a tarpaulin warranty, the surveyor may prejudice, and not just prejudice, may even deny you your claim. But tomorrow, that's what the tarpaulin warranty actually means. We basically are telling you, we're telling the assured well in advance that please protect your cargo. It's not, India is a huge land. This year we saw rains right up to October, November in most parts of the country. You can't say only those monsoon phases of 2 or 3 months. So we've seen multiple amount of claims due to the negligence of the logistics operator and sometimes carelessness of the assured as well. So you're carrying food grains, you're carrying anything, and you don't cover up your goods properly. We are just forewarning you, please ensure that they are tarpaulin covered. And if they are not, despite the warranty, then insurers have every right to prejudice the claim or take action on that claim.
Okay. Another interesting question, Shivesh, that's there on my screen. How can I cover all my risk?
Huh?
How can I cover all my risk?
Oh, I will cover all your risk please write down all your risks. If you could write down all your what is सर्व जोखिम बीमा है, लेकिन फिर भी कहीं ना कहीं तो लिमिटेशन है. तो ठीक है, अगर if the client is willing to pay for this value as well, there are people who आप देख लो कितने सारे exclusions आजकल लोग delete कर देते हैं. Inherent vice को कहीं पे कोल में delete कर देते हैं, कहीं पे कोई packaging unless done by the assured कोई लिख देता है, unseaworthiness पे कुछ ले आता है. So there are ways and means people are expanding the scope of the all risk beyond the mere normal exclusions. But to have a pure all risk without any exclusion, maybe a dream. There's nothing wrong, but nobody is willing to either pay the premium or accept it as well. So it's going to be a tough one for anybody to do it. It's not easy.
Okay. Another question I guess it's for address to Meenakshi. Meenakshi, you've impressed somebody in the audience from your answer. So the query is, maybe some importer, do importers need to worry about the insuring cargo if they purchase under CIF terms? The seller covers shipping, insurance, and freight costs. So what is your take on this as a broker?
Yeah, so here the seller is responsible for purchasing the insurance, but only a minimum amount that may lead to the gaps in the coverages. For example, the seller may insure only for the ocean voyage. They may not take the policy to door, or the coverages purchased by the seller may be for the total loss. And the other downside of the relying on the seller insured based policy, that the claim would be managed through the seller. Importer has no control on it.
Okay, I guess whoever has raised this query seems satisfied with Meenakshi's query, or else, gentlemen, if you are not satisfied, then probably Neeta, you have Neeta's email ID. You can write down your observations, and then we can connect subsequently post this webinar. There's another query it's appearing on my screen. It's related again, Shivesh, to you. House sweating, heating, and infestation cover.
What is the query?
Query is house sweating, heating, and infestation cover.
So people do ask for these covers when it comes to some of the commodities, edible items, and other things. Insurers put their ifs and buts. They will say unless caused by ITCB, ICCB peril. Somebody will say unless caused by physical, external fortuitous means. A third angle could be the client may say howsoever cause भी मुझे चाहिए. Howsoever cause भी अगर आपको चाहिए तो शायद कहीं ना कहीं पे मतलब what are the precautions somebody takes, whether it is to do with the silica gels, whether it is to do the selection of the container. Despite doing everything, I think actually insurers are finding it very difficult to really contain losses as well. So they are putting in these conditions which give you the cover but not give it to you fully. They actually want to see that there is a fortuity which has happened, that just because you got an insurance cover, you don't pack your goods well, you don't check the container well, and you end up paying for losses. Actually, the premiums have shrunk, especially in the Indian market, have shrunk to levels which are abysmal, and so they will definitely find it difficult to give you howsoever cause. But these losses, let me tell you, we were insuring chilies exports, and we faced terrible number of claims due to condensation. And you know what is the premium to the claims today? One container is 40 lakhs, 50 lakhs. And then, so insurers who will do this will do it at their own cost. But there are different insurers. Maybe somebody is doing very profitably. It depends upon the commodity. It depends upon the customer. It depends upon the broker who's negotiating the deal as well. So there's nothing uniform.
One last very pertinent question, Shivesh, again to you, because we are cutting it too fine. It's almost past time. Is it genuine on your part to deduct, let's say, somewhere from 10 to 30% on account of recovery rights being prejudiced? How fair?
So the rule number one of life is nothing in life is fair. That's and if for rule number 2, see rule number 1. So there's nothing in life which is fair. But on a more serious note, actually, हम लोग जब पब्लिक सेक्टर में काम करते थे, हमारे लिए बड़ा आसान था 75%, क्योंकि मेरे क्लेम्स मैनुअल में लिखा था आप मैक्सिमम 75% पे कर सकते हो। तो इसका मतलब अगर आपने 50% पे किया तो ऑडिटर बोलेगा 40 क्यों नहीं पे किया, तो हम सीधा बिना पूछे 75 दे देते थे। आजकल प्राइवेट सेक्टर हम बहुत दिलवाले हो गए हैं, तो फिर हम निगोशिएट करना शुरू करते हैं। मैं बोलता हूँ 75, राजीव आके बोलता है 80, मीनाक्षी आके बोलती है 85, अनुराग कॉल आके बोलेगा 90, उसके बाद शिवानी आके बोलेगी 95, फिर बोलेगा अप टू 1 लाख डोंट यू वेव इट 100%. So it all depends on what sort of premium, what sort of cover, what sort of experience that you are carrying, who's the transporter. Today, marine insurance has been relegated to a position of more experience-based rating than anything else. So if the loss ratios of a customer are extremely profitable, you might find insurers giving you 90%, 85%, 75%. It all depends. So there's no one uniform answer I can give you. But yes, it varies. It varies.
One last question to Rakesh.
Small claims, we don't even do it because you don't get recoveries. We don't have time, money, effort to pursue small claims up to 50,000 or even 1 lakh, most cases.
Correct. One last question to Rakesh, sir, which is been appearing on my screen frequently. Sir, how do you prove that the loss has occurred on account of overloading of the conveyance? Primarily indicated towards the inland transit, I understand. A short, crisp answer, sir.
Yeah, basically, we have to compare the weight being carried with the carrying capacity of the vehicle. From the registration certificate of the vehicle, each vehicle has been licensed for a particular amount of the weight they can carry. And if the weight at the time of loss was of the cargo was was more than that, or I think 5%, some deviation it is permitted. If it is beyond that, then it will be considered as overloading. And particularly if the overloading is the cause of damage, then it is very serious. If overloading is not the cause of damages, then some underwriter may take a call otherwise. But if overloading has caused the damages, otherwise the loss would have been avoided, then certainly it will prejudice the claim.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving your inputs on that. Over to Neeta. Please take over.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for moderating the session, as well as all the speakers, basically for their insights and very concise and crisp presentation. I also would like to thank Meenakshi for her views and my support at the back end, Taranji. And I would also thank you all the audience for being such patient and curious about the subject. I'm sure that this webinar has given the meaningful and useful and elaborated insights. So I would request the audience to share their unaddressed query, if there is any, at my email, neeta.prasad@jkbima.com. So our expert will definitely try to find the solution for your queries. So thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks to JK and all the audience. Thanks everybody.
Bye. Take care. Stay blessed. Bye.
Bye.